Good morning, sunshine, a little bit after 10 o'clock, and here we are on Hump Day Wednesday. Chief Meteorologist Tim Miller. Boy, what a night last night. If you were across parts of the upstate, through the Midlands with these storms, just the lightning was something. Lots of gusty winds, some trees down as these storms blew on through. We're going to talk about what these storms are and how they differ from the typical summertime thunderstorms that we typically get. But right now, I want to talk about the heat, and you're probably thinking, you're rolling your eyes. I don't blame you. Tim. We're tired of talking about the heat. Well, this heat's a little different. This is not your typical summertime heat for us where it's hot and humid. This is really going to be oppressive heat. So once again, we have a heat advisory, basically from Charleston all the way down to Hilton Head. We'll look at the other map here in just a moment. This is where a heat index today will be 112, 113. My feeling is by the time we get to Friday and maybe a tiny bit of a reprieve over the weekend and into next week, we could have, and I'm not kidding here with this, a heat index of 115 to maybe even 117 in some places right along the coast. That's deadly heat. That's heat now it becomes beyond dangerous. It becomes deadly, and it means if you're outside for any length of time, it could creep on you very, very quickly, regardless of age, mind you, young, old alike. Especially our seasoned citizens. But man, this is something that we'll have to watch. I don't see this breaking because we're under this ridge of high pressure, and you get into August. You often hear us talk about the dog days of summer. This thing is not moving, and there's nothing really to move it, right? Normally we have fronts that come on in or other highs that develop, but this thing is strong. It's basically sitting to our south, and it may wiggle from time to time a little bit more towards the west, which could allow more storms to come in, right? That's what's going to happen over the weekend. Still going to be hot, and then it may wiggle more towards the east, and that's when we have less storms. So this is our heat advisory in effect today for, again, down towards the low country. And I'll just show you this. This continues now for Georgetown to Myrtle Beach, and then all the way up towards North Carolina. So it's our entire coast under this heat advisory for the next several days here as we get into it. So what brought into, and we'll talk more about this as we get into, so let's talk about the storms that came in last night. This is the season of heat and humidity. It's also the season of what we call MCSs. You're like, okay, what in the world is an MCS? It's a mesoscale uh, uh, complex system, or complex convective system, which is rather complex. Mesoscale convective system. And in weather, we love our acronyms. And what it is, it's a cluster of thunderstorms that they sort of like get together and they form a group and they decide to travel long distances. So it's not like the typical summertime thunderstorms that pop up or storms that you have, with a cold front that comes on by. These storm clusters develop and they basically become their own little weather system, right? These little mesoscale convective systems, and they can travel well over 1,000 miles. Yesterday's storms that came through the upstate and then through the Midlands actually developed in northern Kentucky, right near really the Ohio Valley, near Louisville and in Indiana, and then traveled through Kentucky, Tennessee, up and over the mountains, and then down into South Carolina. What makes it unusual is that typically the mountains tears things apart, whether it's cold fronts this time of year or these, if they're weak mesoscale convective systems, MCSs, they're normally torn apart by the mountains. This was pretty strong last night, right? So this is a snapshot of what they are. This isn't actually last night's, but this particular one formed in Missouri, and then boom, heads through Georgia, then to South Carolina. We're going to get more that form here in the Midwest and then come into South Carolina. And I think that's what's going to happen again today. Now, whether this particular system is torn up by the mountains or not remains to be seen. This one might be, and if it is, we'll have less storms. If it's not, then we'll have more storms. You don't really know until it gets over the mountains. That's the frustration part of forecasting here with this. What I do know, though, is that with the heating of the day and the potential of this happening, any storms that pop up here when this thing comes in has the potential of producing damaging winds, hail, the lightning is just spectacular to watch. Frequent lightning and very heavy downpours. So again, we'll watch these. We'll have one today that'll come in. I think another one forms in the Midwest, comes in tomorrow. We'll catch a break on Friday, and then we'll have a front that comes in over the weekend, very weak, but still nonetheless, and that'll be the focus for showers and storms. Here's why that's important. The more showers and storms that we have, the heat index goes away, right? I mean, last night, I'll give you an example. Y'all know I live out in, for those who don't know, I live out in Batesburg, Leesville. If you're not familiar with the Midlands, that's out in the country in Saluda County. And the rush of air coming out from those storms, that cool air felt fabulous. I mean, it was just like, wow, the temperature at my weather station dropped 10 degrees in a matter of just a few minutes. And then, of course, rain and lightning, all that type of stuff. Point I'm making is that if we get these storms that fire up, that will drop a temperature immediately and the heat index is done. It's still, humid, very humid, but we're done with the heat index. So my hope is we'll have these storms that fire up in the afternoon time, even though they can cause some damage when they do so. We don't want that, but we certainly don't want the heat index. I think the heat index and the heat that we'll receive, especially down towards the low country, is more than just dangerous, it's deadly, right? And that's why every precaution is going to be needed as we go through time here for sure. But if we get these storms, that will help alleviate some of that issue. All right, so let's get to what we're talking about here. Let me get this full screen. I'll show you. This is from the Storm Prediction Center. And what they have here, we talk about these mesoscale complexes. Notice we have this swath here, a marginal risk of severe weather, which does include much of the state. The only part that's very not included in that is the Grand Strand, Myrtle Beach area. But you notice we have this arc here. Why is that? Well, here in the center, that's where high pressure is. High pressure is sinking air, doesn't want anything near it. It has OCD. It says, don't touch me, get away from me. So everything has to go up and over this high pressure. You think it's hot here. From San Antonio, Dallas, Oklahoma City, Shreveport, Little Rock, all this activity. Oh, there's no activity other than just heat. So everything goes up and over. So these little storm complexes that develop here, notice we have this slight risk of severe weather, will come through here, right through Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, and then boom, head our direction. So everything's up and over. So these develop, whoosh, like a washing machine. So we'll have and this will be the same thing, I think, for Thursday as well. All right. So we'll be dealing with that. So up and over the mountains, and it really won't be until late afternoon until we get a picture of that. Let's look at the satellite view currently, and I'll show you what we're looking at here. This is a live view, and this is a dying over the Midlands of South Carolina mesoscale complex that we had yesterday. So it's sort of dying out here. Probably won't refire up, even the heat of the day, because this lost a lot of its energy. So we'll get rid of these clouds. Heat will come in. That little activity will come in late afternoon, evening, and then fire off showers and thunderstorms. So let's get to our forecast. Here it is. This starts at 2 p.m. this afternoon. Notice everything's fine at 2. This goes in 3-hour time frames here. Hot, humid. Watch by 5. Boom. These showers and storms start to pop. So my feeling is 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll have shower and thunderstorm activity. There's 9 o'clock. Pretty much dies out. So with the heating of the day and these little mesoscale complexes that come over the mountains, they need that energy. And when the energy's done, it's done. So back again. Here's 2 o'clock this afternoon. There's 5, 6, 7. And then boom, it's done by about 8 o'clock. Let's jump ahead to tomorrow. This is 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, Thursday. Friday at 2 o'clock. There's our sea breeze that comes in at 5 o'clock. And then here comes another mesoscale complex. And this stops at 5, but 6, 7, 8. So by 8 o'clock tomorrow night, this is Thursday, with the sea breeze coming in right along the coast, that's where we have our showers and storms, they meet. So everything from the Midlands to the PD tomorrow will have a good chance of some scattered showers and thunderstorms. A lot of the models are giving 20% chance. A lot of these weather models, and you'll see, on social media, you'll see people post this. It's hard for these models to grasp these little mesoscale complexes because they don't flesh out well with the models. So with that being said, you're going to take into a context wherever you're living, right? So if you're a meteorologist in North Carolina, hopefully you know your weather and it's a different situation. For us, we know the sea breeze front's going to be happening. And then here comes this mesoscale complex, boom, they blow up. I need to stop saying mesoscale complex. It sounds very, scientific. It's a cluster of thunderstorms, is what it is. So, boys and girls, it's just a big cluster of storms. So, we're dealing with that today and tomorrow. Uh, so, the takeaway today is the heat. Be careful for the heat. Our heat advisory all up and down the coast. Heat index 110 to about 112. Not that far from the Midlands either. I think the Midlands will be 108 today is what it'll feel like with the heat and humidity. Towards the upstate, we could be at 101. The Piedmont near Rock Hill and Lancaster, I think y'all could be about 102 is what it'll feel like with the temperature today before those storms come in. And I know last night in our social media page here on Facebook, I mean, there was warning after warning after warning posted. And I know that seems like a lot, but I mean, when these storms come up, we just want to make sure that wherever there's a warning, that you're notified and that you and your family are safe. All right. So there'll be a lot, probably more of that as we get into this afternoon, this evening. No live video this afternoon, but I will post some things by 3 o'clock so you know what the latest is. All right. And if we get severe weather tonight, I may pop on here live and get on to show you where it's at. But if not, I'll show you where the storms are going. So either way, I got you and we'll be covered. All right. Be sure to share with family and friends so this important information stays in their timeline, and all heat safety precautions need to be taken over the next couple days. All right. We'll see you soon.